Hi guys, this is a quick review on the timeline and the time factor. I've seen many videos of people, comparing them, but they actually never talk about their quality or cons or pros. I'm telling you this from my experience. So I'm gonna start with the timeline. The timeline's a great pedal, so is the time factor. The timeline has 200 presets and 12 different delay sounds. The time factor only has 100 presets and only 10 different delay sounds. If you want to get more creative, then I would choose the timeline over the time factor. But if you want something simple but still, be creative, I will get the time factor. If you're on a budget, I will also get the time factor. If you have money, or you have enough money to buy a timeline, then I will get the timeline. But that's not the point. The point's not the price. The point is that I just want to compare each of them and give you some insight on what was my experience. Okay, so with the timeline, one of the things that I really like is that you actually have access to go to bank up and bank down, and you always have access to the tap tempo. With the time factor, you do have access to that, but when you go into preset mode, you only have access to bank up, and you don't have access to tap tempo. So that was a really hard thing for me, especially when you play live every Sunday. So I did my research, and they actually sell this thing called a three-way aux switch. Basically, it gives you three more switches, stop switches, which you can assign to control any parameter that it gives you the option to control. On mine, the left one was the bank down, and the right one was the bank up. And the middle one was the repeat, which a lot of people, that's really popular. A lot of people like those to control those parameters. So that's the thing. If you are going for the time factor, I would highly recommend for you to build your own three-way aux switch or just buy it. I think they're like $40 or 45. They range. Sometimes they'll sell used ones, on Reverb. But yeah, it just makes the time factor 50% better. Not even lying. For me, it just made life easier. So that's the thing with the time factor. That's an issue that I had. Another thing with the timeline, this was an issue for me. It's still an issue for me. It only has an input for an expression pedal, which now with the new update, you can actually plug in a three-way aux switch and control parameters such like the time factor, which I'm using right now actually, but you don't really need it. It just makes your life a little easier, but it's not really necessary. The time factor actually has the aux input and the expression input, so you can actually run the aux switch, and an expression pedal at the same time, which is pretty cool. And with the timeline, I feel as quality, build quality, I feel like it's more fragile. I feel like if I was to drop it, it would honestly, damage the component. Any component. I feel like the time factor's built more like the Boss pedals. They build those pedals like tanks. That's what it feels to me. It's a lot heavier than the timeline, but I feel like it would last you a longer time. And the switches, the stop switches, I think they feel the same to me. I can't really tell the difference on both of them. One more thing, guys. Just to close out, I mean, they're two different companies, and I mean, they're, like I said, they're each gonna have their unique sound. One little thing that I wanted to point out is that I felt like the time factor, when I had the time factor, it would, I play at church, so it would cut more through the mix. I feel like with the timeline, you have to play a little bit to get it to that point. So yeah, let's wrap it up. Yeah, so the Strymon out of the box, it comes ready. You know, you can choose your go bank up, go bank down, have a tap tempo, and I feel with the time factor out of the box, it cuts through the mix. You don't really have to mess with the parameters. But once again, you need additional components, which is the three-way aux switch. If you want to really enjoy the time factor, you don't have to. But I mean, for me, I play live, so it makes it a pain in the butt to bend down and especially when I'm on my presets. Also, I feel like the TimeLine has a better looper than the time factor, and it's got a longer looper too. So yeah, guys, it's up to you. You know, if you have any questions, comment below. So yeah, guys, if you like my video, like my video, please. I'm planning to do future videos on tutorials and how do you make the three-way aux switch, or how do you make a tap tempo. So I mean, subscribe if you want to hear more from me.